right, we are continuing with our big idea. Knowing what numbers mean helps me to compare them and to solve problems. And we're again looking at decimal numbers, but this time we're looking at decimal numbers and adding and subtracting and specifically estimating with decimal numbers. So, knowing what that decimal number means helps us to then estimate so that we can get the appropriate sum, added answer, or difference, subtracted answer. We're going to move along to the Connect section. Here we go. According to the Guinness World Book of Records, the most massive head of garlic has a mass of 1.191 kilograms, or 1 and 191 thousandths of a kilogram. The most massive potato has a mass of 3.487 kilograms, or 3 and 487th of a kilogram. Here are two ways to estimate the combined mass of these vegetables. Estimate these two numbers to their nearest whole number. Okay, so this is really like this is really like benchmarks. Okay, so when we're thinking about our addition and subtraction strategies, this really is benchmark strategy. What is that number closest to? So 1.191, 1.1 is closest to 1. And 3.4, again, we just look at that first two digits right after. Well, 4 is 4 and under, so we just ignore, remembering our rounding rule. So it stays 3. We add those. Our estimated answer is 4. The other option that you have here is to write only one decimal number to the nearest whole number and then keep the other decimal numbers there. This is going to get you definitely a closer estimate than making them all whole numbers will. So we've got 3.487. We've made 1.191 into just 1. Adding 1 to the 3. Now be careful when you add these, you're adding it to the whole number. So when you're adding with decimal numbers, when you're adding with decimal numbers, you need to make sure that you're lining them up according to the decimal spot. So 1 would have decimal numbers after it, 3.487, or you're lining them up according to place value, I suppose. The ones need to be together. So when you add it, it's going to become 4.487. Do not line them up so that the 1 is above the 7 here. That's going to get you a completely wrong answer. You have to have the 1 with the 3 because they're both in the ones place. Line them up according to place value. All right, let's look at differences. Remember, differences subtracting. So here are two ways to estimate the difference of the mass of the potato and the garlic. Again, they have taken the decimal number. One of them has stayed the same. The other one is rounded to the nearest whole number. And again, you're subtracting. Again, being careful that when you line them up, the whole numbers or the tens place numbers stay together. And you're subtracting. Remember, you might need to borrow. So 7 take away nothing is 7. And if you want, you can fill this in with zeros to make it easier for you. If that's at all confusing, 1 take away 3 is 2. So 2.487 or 2 and 487 thousandths of a kilogram would be our answer. Or again, you can round them to the nearest whole number using benchmarks. 3.487 again becomes 3. 1.191 becomes 1, and you subtract the whole number. So benchmarks or changing one number would be what happens. Now, remember, one of the big reasons that we do estimating is so we can get a close answer, but it's also very good to use as a check. So we can see here that the exact difference is 2.296. This helps us to see that, yes, okay, we're close, or yes, we're close. So using an estimate to determine if your actual answer is correct is a really good strategy. All right, so to practice, we're going to look at question number 4. You are to choose the closer estimate. Be ready to tell about your choice and use estimation to determine which one you should choose. So I'd like you to estimate for all of those, and from your estimate, figure out which is closer, the 8 or the 9. Go ahead and press pause and estimate for these. Use whichever strategy you prefer. All right, let's take a look. So for A, we have 2.225 and 6.95. Well, I'm going to use benchmarks. 2.2 is closer to 2. 6.9 is closer to 7, so 2 plus 7 is 9. So 9 would be my closer choice. If I had done one complete answer, say I left 6.95 the same and I changed only the 2.225 into 2, it would still be 8.95 in either choice, either strategy that you use. Sorry, that's a 5. Either strategy that you use, 9 is the closer answer. Let's take a look at B. Note its subtraction. 83.1 minus 34.016, and I'm going to only change 1 here. I'm going to go 83.1, and I'm going to subtract 34. I'm just going to make it 34, and remembering I'm going to line up my digits according to place value, ones with ones, tens with tens, and so on. I've made this a 0. I don't have to, I can leave it blank, but I've made it a 0 just to make it easier for me. Actually, in this case with subtracting, it's a really good idea to put in the 0, so you remember to borrow if you need to. 1 take away 0 is just 1. 3 take away 4, I'm going to have to borrow. My 8 is going to become 7. My 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 4, 9. 7 minus 3 is 4. I bring my decimal down. It comes down to the original spot. So 49 is my answer. So that would mean 50 is my closest estimate. And either way, if you made these whole numbers, 83 minus 34 would still end up being closer to 50. All right, C and D, let's take a look. C, this time I'm going to round them to the nearest whole number. Benchmarks, 58.3 would just become 58. 3 is less than 4, so I just ignore. And it's from 22. The 2 looks at the 8. Ooh, the 8 is going to tell me to round up, so it's actually going to become 23. And I'll subtract. And I look, 8 minus 3 is 5, 5 minus 2 is 3, so 35 would be closest. If I had only changed one number, it really wouldn't have changed very much. 7 minus nothing is 7, oops. 3 minus nothing is 3, 8 minus 3 is still 5, 5 minus 2 is still 3, 35.37, still closer to 35. Last practice one was D. 19.531 is what I'm going to leave as the same. Oops. 16.8, I'm going to round 16.8. 8 tells the 6 it needs to go up, so that becomes 7. The 1 stays the same. The rest becomes zeros. And I am adding here. 1, 3, 5, 9 plus 7 is 8. Sorry, 16, my mistake. 16, carry the 1, bring down the decimal, and you need that decimal in there. 36, so closer answer would be 36. Right, now you are on to your concept practice, page 198, 199, numbers 2, 3, 5, and 7, and you are working on estimating with decimals. So your textbook pages here for those of you that need them. Here's questions 1 to 4. Questions 5 to 7. And question 8 and 9 with the reflect prompt. Remember, as you're working, if at any point you have questions, that you please ask.